Absolutely, that is a very important question. I would say for everybody who is working in the AI industry, from developers, data scientists, product managers, and end users, of course. For me, when we think about responsible AI, we need to think about the three different principles or pillars, I would say. One is security, then we have privacy, and finally safety. And each of these pillars have specific tools. And when I say tools, I really mean development tools like Python toolkits, libraries, SDK that developers can integrate in their development of any generative AI solutions. So for example, when we think about privacy, we always think about data. Data usually is at rest, is in transit, and is in use. And also there are different tools like, for example, confidential inferencing, which is great also to protect data when they are in use. So this is just one example. Another example, of course, that I want to mention every time I think about safety, I think also about privacy and also fairness and inclusiveness. And there are some principles that are very important to consider, again, also when you are developing those solutions. And in the responsible AI, we have a toolkit that developers at this point have been using for many years. It is called the Fair Learn, that you can use to assess the fairness level of your AI solutions, but also you can interpret the results that you're getting from your generative AI solution. So all of this is to say that developers, product managers, any AI professional really needs to be exposed to these tools and making sure that those tools are integrated during the building, testing, and deployment, and then monitoring part of the development cycle of any generative AI solution. I would say some of those risks are newer, some others have been around for a while because of course AI, machine learning, data science are not really new fields. So I would say every time you think about risk in generative AI, you always have to think about the life cycle. So we always start with data, and data sometimes is also introduced by prompt, and in this case from users. And so of course thinking about risk and the errors that can be injected into the generative AI application from a prompt point of view, it's essential. Another very important risk to consider is at the model level, and that's why most of the time when we develop AI solutions, we always look at different layers of protections for this kind of risk. There is the model, of course, is the first step for developers. The model is introducing sometimes some errors, but then there is also the system, the AI system part, and then there is also the system message and prompt, and finally the user interface. So all of these, as I'm saying, are all layers that can introduce new risk, new errors, and you have to make sure that, of course, you have tools to, first of all, identify them, also prevent them, and then make sure that you know also how to mitigate them. The last risk that I want to say we have been seeing that has been also introduced by generative AI application is copywriting, because of course generative AI is using a lot of data, also public data, from text, images, videos, sounds, and of course copywriting is another risk that I have been seeing introduced a lot by generative AI applications. But again, having those layers of protections from the model, system message, and prompting, and then user interface that can protect every single step in the development cycle, I think it's critical and it's very important. RAG, I think right now it's one of the best methods that data scientists and AI developers in general have to improve generative AI applications. It is very different from fine-tuning, from prompt engineering, but the beauty of RAG or RAG system is really about combining two very powerful forces. On one side you have your knowledge base that is about contextualized data that you are bringing into the power power of large language models to make them more intelligent, or at least they are going to give you back answers and information that are more accurate and relevant for the field you are working in. And so RAG is a very interesting area of study for many different data scientists, and scaling, of course, is extremely important, because once you know how to apply and implement RAG, then you want to make sure that it is scalable. When I look at a RAG system, usually I look at different methods that you can leverage as a data scientist to improve it. Chunking, indexing, vectoring, ranking, those are just some of the methodologies that you have. And my personal suggestion to anyone who wants to scale a RAG system is really to look into these different methodologies, making sure that you can optimize them, and then you can apply, because all this is going to really also to help you to decrease the prompts, the length of the prompts that you're going to use to leverage generative AI applications, and as a consequence, of course, generative AI applications are going to be faster, more agile, and also much more cost-effective. So this is my recommendation for data scientists and AI developers who really wants to scale their solutions.